That was a
Let me
joke.
let me ask you both.
It fit into one of my jokes, so I had to go there.
Let me ask you both five things. You could give me a yes or no to each of the five. I want to know your thoughts on these five things. One, CBD oil. Two, alcohol. Three, coffee. Four, marijuana or things in it like greens, like gummies. And five, the Beyond Impossible Burger. So one, CBD oil. Two, alcohol. Three, coffee. Four, marijuana or gummies that have marijuana in them. And five, the Beyond Impossible Burgers. Those five things, any thoughts? Two of you each.
Okay, Dr. Fuhrman, you have the privilege of going first.
My mind must be going because I can't even remember the five things. It must have been all those cherimoyas I must have been eating last year.
CBD oil. CBD
No, I'm
oil.
kidding you. I'm kidding you. I got it.
Okay.
I was just making a joke.
Okay.
Um, by the way, laughing makes you live longer, even if your joke is stupid. So even if it's like a stupid joke, it's still good to laugh anyway. All right. Well, let me preface that question with saying anything that has pharmacologic effects has some toxic effects. So I can give you a natural substance that's going to make your heart beat faster or your heart beat slower, or make you urinate more or urinate less, or take away your pain or make you more energy. But the efficacy of the substance is proportional to its toxicity. Healthy things don't do anything to us. You eat broccoli or sprouts, you're not going to feel anything. You're going to feel nothing because it's not toxic and it's not pharmacologic. So we're trying to avoid the need for medicinal substances. So just because a CBD product like THC or CBD could be somewhat put a person to sleep better, then it may be less toxic than a drug or make it less toxic than an opiate for pain, you still build up tolerance to it. The more you take it, the less efficacious it becomes. It's still not an idea. The idea is not to take things that have medicinal effects. It's to avoid the need for medicinal substances. The fact that it builds up tolerance shows you it's not positive. It's not a health supporting substance. Um, Alcohol is cancer causing. And sure, you can get some bioflavonoids from a wine, but that doesn't make the alcohol in the wine less non-carcinogenic, and you're better off having the flavonoids from food and not from alcohol. So it's not a health promoting substance. You're better off if you don't have those things. Some people, like you said, are more sensitive and more fragile and have more genetic predispositions, and maybe a lot of people can get away with some of those things, but some people can't. Um, you know, the Beyond Burgers and the Impossible Burgers, and also these new functional, lab grown meats are probably, overall beneficial to society because people aren't going to want to eat healthy foods and they want to maybe cut back on taking down the rainforest to grow more beef. So maybe there's benefits to society. I'm not against the point of it, but I wouldn't eat that stuff. I'd feel sick if I had it. I wouldn't sleep well at night from all the salt and all the grease. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't digest it well. I wouldn't feel well. I wouldn't recommend it. People have it, especially. I feel it really feels good to feel good. It really feels good emotionally
Yes.
to feel good all the time. And why would you want to take things in your body to make yourself feel worse or be less healthy? To be self-destructive. I don't really get that much because we're just enjoying our life too much to interfere with that. All right. Should I go to fasting or you want to, or
Coffee, marijuana, and could do fasting also. Coffee, marijuana, and
I think
fasting.
I described CBD and marijuana and gummies. I think it's all in the same. I could have said enough about that already. You know what I mean? It doesn't prevent cancer. You're putting in toxins in your body. It's better not to smoke it. If you're eating it in food, it may be helpful to some people who have serious medical conditions. But it's still better if they don't have to take it. It still builds up tolerance. It's still better. You wouldn't need those things. So it's not something that's really health supporting. I don't recommend you taking in CBD, marijuana as a health reason. If you have to do it for medical reason, even that it's not probably good to do it long term. Occasional use if you can't sleep or something under tremendous stress or you're in pain with an accident, may be okay for temporary use for some of those reasons, but would not recommend for long-term use. Um, Coffee, is okay for some people, but it's not something I recommend either. because even though there's a lot of bioflavonoids and some protective substances in coffee, it still has addictive properties to it and can cause withdrawal from it. When you try to stop it, you can get headaches. You can mistake the coffee withdrawal for hunger and make you want to eat to eat more to remove that withdrawal symptom of the buzz you get from caffeine withdrawal. I don't like to consume so many browned or darkened or burnt substances in the diet. Maybe a little bit might be okay, but it's not something I recommend people do either, though they do so many things that are worse. And for most people, they eat no beans and no flavonoids and no sprouts. So the little bit of coffee gives them some exposure to flavonoids. Is probably better than nothing for a standard American diet person. But for us, health nuts, I don't think we should. It's not something I would advocate. And the last thing is fasting, right?
Yes.
I think it's good you're asking me that question. Because, I wrote the book on fasting in 1996. I wrote a book called Fasting and Eating for Health in 1996, and I've utilized fasting as a therapeutic modality my whole career. And so let me just say two things. That as having fasting as a tool in my toolbox has enabled me to help some people I couldn't otherwise have helped. And I'll give you an example. This person wakes up in the middle of the night to take inhalers for asthma, and they can't do aerobics classes or do heavy exercise because they start wheezing too much. Their whole life is revolved around taking their asthma inhalers. So I'm saying to them, I can get rid of their asthma, and I take them off their beta agonists, increase their inhaled steroids, get their health and cleaned up, and I get them so they're not so inflamed in a period of months. Now I'm gradually cutting back their inhaled steroid use, little by little over a 6-month period, trying to clear up their lungs. And now I want to take away their steroids completely when I think they're not going to have an asthma attack. And to take it away, if they start to wheeze a little, or if I want to start them fasting as I'm taking it away, it helps suppress inflammation and curtails the hyperactive immune response and finishes the detoxification process. So it assures me this person is not going to have an asthma attack. So doing that fast at the end of the 6-month wean gave me the security to know that they would be breathing fine, and further putting the finishing touches up on the artwork we've just created, and having this being a new human being with a new immune system who's never going to have an asthma attack the rest of their life. So likewise, I've fasted people. I have people with their inflammatory bowel disease who I fast 2 and 3 days a month, just because it helps curtail the inflammation in their gut from the natural tendency they have to have an irritated gut lining. So fasting can be useful as a therapeutic tool.
And when you say fasting, do you mean 1 day a week, a 7-day fast? How long are your fasts?
I'm saying with regard to that asthma case, with its fast might have been between 7 and 14 days in that case. So that, but with regard to the inflammatory bowel disease cases with ulcerative colitis and Crohn's, they might be fasting 2 to 3 days each month, like in a row, 2 days in a row or 3 days in a row each month, right?
On just water?
On just water, yes, to rest their bowel each month.
Great, thank you.
But now the question is, what about the majority of Americans? Don't forget, 90% of Americans are food addicted, overweight people. And my major person I care for and work with are overweight people who have trouble staying with eating healthfully. They're distracted and they still continue to consume foods that are self-destructive. And when you put these overweight individuals on a fast, you excessively slow the metabolic rate down, and they become too often more food obsessed. And they don't stay with the diet after the fast does not make them stay compliant more when the fast is over, as is claimed. So many of them go back to their former way of eating and gain the weight back and more. I'm much more careful nowadays to make sure that people learn to eat healthfully and stay within that caloric window in which they don't become food obsessed, that they can still lose weight at 2 or 3 pounds per week. I might cut a person. So even the intermittent fasting of cutting people down to 500 to 800 calories a day can trigger some of these obese and overweight food addicts into binging again. And the fasting and binging mentality, and they're going to try to gain weight and go on a long fast again, and gain weight and go on a long fast again, is not the formula for long-term successful great health. The formula for long-term successful great health is to learn how to live and be healthfully and stay within that healthy window consistently for the rest of your life. It's being consistent in what you do day in and day out. And too many times, fasting can lead to people going off the diet and binging. And now that the metabolic rate is excessively slowed from fasting, they're going to gain even more weight back. And so they're going to yo-yo. So I'm more cautious with the use of fasting, and I do not recommend it for people who are not, who have food addiction symptoms or are overweight and haven't proved their ability to be consistent with eating healthfully. Because there are people who are very successful in controlling their weight and moving from fasting to a healthy diet and sticking with it. But for too many people, which I consider the majority of people, it doesn't make for more likelihood of success. It makes for more likelihood of recidivism. So I'm not advocating fasting for all people. I'd rather them learn how to eat consistently healthy long-term and not restrict calories that severely.
Thank you. Doug, if you could answer those same 6 questions, then give us your final thoughts and then give us how we could stay in touch with you. So comment on those 6 things, then any final thoughts, and then how we could get in touch with you.
Okay. So on CBD, I've never consciously or deliberately consumed CBD or used it topically. Do I think it's probably better than a pharmacological solution? Probably, but I don't know enough about it. It's not in my wheelhouse. Alcohol, I think alcohol is a metabolic poison. I think it kills every cell in the body. I think it creates all sorts of problems with internal organs. And as Dr. Fuhrman said, can and does cause cancer. Coffee, I think, stimulates the adrenals. It's very easy to cherry pick and find good things about coffee. I think coffee masks the fact that someone is not well rested, they're not well focused, they're not well nourished, and gives them an artificial sense, of being. That being said, there's thousands of studies. And if you want to find a study that says coffee helps with concentration and coffee adds to longevity, et cetera, I'm sure you can find it. I don't do coffee. Marijuana, smoking, eating, gummies, there's a whole phase of a fad or a momentum around marijuana and cannabis. I think people are self-medicating and they're masking other issues with it. That being said, is marijuana better than SSRIs or others? Out of my area of focus and expertise, I don't do it. I don't know much about it. I haven't smoked marijuana since I was a juvenile delinquent at age 13. And that goes for the gummies or the edibles. Although I think it's funny that Mike Tyson has an edible, with Evander Holyfield's part of his ear. I think that's funny. In terms of Impossible Burger and Beyond Burgers, I don't consume them. I think that the Beyond Burger is probably more natural than the Impossible Burger with the genetically modified heme iron. I also think, and I was just at Natural Products Expo and I met with the chairman of Beyond Meat, and he was talking about their new formulation, which is more natural, less oils, avocado oil, et cetera. Do I think that if someone wants a burger, I would rather see them consume a Beyond Burger than a hamburger from a cow, for a whole litany of reasons that I think are obvious, so I won't go into. I will say, back to cannabis, I do believe organic cannabis leaves, when juiced, create the non-psychoactive substance THCA, which is the precursor to the psychoactive THC, which occurs when you heat at high temperatures the cannabis leaves or the like. And I think THCA, when juicing cannabis, could be a healthy green, but I think it's rare and it's a corner case situation. I've had it, tastes pretty intense, and I think the hemp plant, I've sprouted hemp seeds, and I like hemp seeds, and I think hemp seeds are a good source of protein and a good source of omega-3s. So I think the hemp slash cannabis plant has some positive benefits and attributes, and I think they're better than traditional pharmacological solutions.
And fasting?
I think fasting is incredible. I believe in guided fasting. I think fasting is dangerous if done on your own. I think fasting could be dangerous if you are on medications. So I've had direct exposure to someone who was on several medications and they went on a fast. And as a result of being on the fast, their body was rapidly changing, and the amount of drugs and pharmaceutical prescriptions they needed wasn't adjusted. And as a result, they ended up having a cardiac arrest. So I think that there could be severe consequences for playing with something as serious as fasting with it. Now, that being said, I think fasting in the right environment can be extremely positive, whether it be green juice fasting or water fasting or dry fasting, under the supervision, of experts.
Thank you. And any final thoughts you want to leave us with, and how do we stay in touch with you?
So my name is Doug Evans. My book is on Amazon for practically free. It's $12. You can find me on Instagram at Doug Evans. You can find my company is thesproutingcompany.com, and I'm on TikTok at SproutWiz. And, I've probably done 50 interviews on YouTube. So just type Doug Evans and Sprouts. And I really want to acknowledge you, Steve, someone who could just be, living the life of leisure, put so much of your time and your money and your energy and your passion into trying to spread the real truth about health, that I don't think enough people acknowledge you for taking your time, to put this all together. So thank you. Thank you for having me. Joel, always a pleasure to see you. You are a legend. I love your work. I've read your books. I've been to your facility. And if you ever go, and I highly recommend going to the Eat to Live retreat facility, you will see that Joel is the hardest working guy there. And if he's not with a patient, he's with he's in the garden working, which is why he looks so good, for where he is in the stage of his life.
Doug, if we want to get, do you have any kind of consulting or groups or any training or anything to follow up with about your sprouts and sprouting?
I have a free masterclass available. It's a 5-day masterclass that I did with Commune, and the URL there is www.onecommune.com/Doug. And you can get a deep masterclass on sprouts. It's professionally recorded, and it goes into how to sprout, why to sprout, what to do with the sprouts. You can also download a free sprouting app available to all people from thesproutingcompany.com. And we created that app to help people sprout so they know how long to soak the seeds. We give them notifications, when to rinse, when to harvest, and guide people along the way to the journey. So it's part of my public service commitment to helping people get healthy through sprouting.
Thank you. Dr. Fuhrman, any closing thoughts, and how can we stay in touch with you and your work and your retreats?
Well, thank you, Stephen, and thanks for the work you're doing, as well as you, Doug. I appreciate you both very much.
Thank you.
And yes, I'm at drfuhrman.com, and I have online events. I have a detox weight loss event online where I give people instruction, lectures, questions, and interactions. I have one coming up in May, a 21-day event, but I have ongoing events people want to, and I also have the Eat to Live Masterclass available at drfuhrman.com. People can learn more about my work, as well as you know, I've written many books. My most recent book is Eat for Life. But in any case, people are welcome to ask me questions. on my website, learn more about what I'm talking about. And well, of course, my major goal is to encourage people to embrace healthy living and healthy eating and to stay with this long term for the rest of their life. And it's not easy to do for many people. And we help give them the tools they need to achieve this in an enjoyable and tasty way so they can stick with it. So thanks for that, for hosting all of us and for all the good work you guys all do.
Thank you. And can someone do a phone consultation with you? Can they come to your retreat center and for a week or 10 days, or how does that work?
No, the retreat, they can go to the event, drfuhrman.com events, and they can call the 800 number to learn more about the retreat. But our minimum stay is 1 month because we're a small facility and we feel that people don't really benefit long term if they don't really embrace this for a long enough period of time. So the 1 month stay is minimum at the retreat, but they can call our 800 number and learn more about it. Thank you. And I do not generally do phone consults unless people plan on coming to the retreat. Then I'll speak to them in advance before they get here. But I mostly communicate with the public. If people want my advice about their condition, they can join drfuhrman.com as a member, and they can ask me questions directly through the website in the Ask the Doctor forum. And I communicate with a lot of people every single day that way. I'm communicating with hundreds of people and answering their medical questions for them.
Thank you both so much. If we could unmute everyone so everyone else could say thank you as well.
Because what that looks like, though. I got one there, one there. I don't need any more. Hold on.
Okay, both of you, thank you so much. Thank you, and good night. Thank you so much.
Good night.